we have not completely failed, but we have not realized our full potential. And so when we come to this passage in Colossians chapter 1, verses 1 to 5, chapter 2, verses 1 to 5, we come to a situation where Paul wrote to them and said, I want you to know how much I am struggling for you. In fact, Paul was praying that we will realize and be that community. Paul is a great church planter. After encountering with Jesus Christ, he was converted and he went all out. He saw the vision. He went out and planted churches. In fact, he was not directly related to the Colossian church. His disciple, Epaphras, was the one who actually started this church. But it was such a good church that he said that he commended this church. But he still prayed for them. He says, in his understanding, he began the second chapter by saying that it began with us. In order to be a healthy church, we must be healthy Christian. Now, friends, I know that this word healthy, for people who are 50 and above, is very concerned. When I was below that, I'm not so too concerned about my health. But after 50, you become very concerned because there's a time where a lot of visitors come into your life. When I mean the visitors, all kinds of sickness beginning to creep in as you are aging. And so you go for health check. And every time you go to health check, you pray that you will not receive bad news. And so when the news comes, sometimes you ask yourself, what can I do? And in fact, Malaysia lately has been told that it's one of the most obese nations in the world. One of the most. We have problem. We have so much good food. So cheap the food are. There's so much variety that our people sometimes forget about their health and indulge in it. And so we have problem. Now the same thing with spirituality. Paul's prayer for them was actually they will stay healthy and so become a healthy church and realize the full potential that God has for the church, that it can impact the world. After saying all this, I must congratulate, to a certain extent, the church has made great strides too in history. We see how the world was corrupted, but through the ministry of God and through God's people who are faithful, we rise up to transform the nations. And Methodist has a great deal to do with it. The Holiness movement initiated by John Wesley, rediscovering the church, how the church should be through the small groups, has made an impact in the history of England. Our friends, coming back to our text here, he said, I am struggling for you. And this same word, we have actually examined it in the previous chapter. It comes from the word agonize. I agonize for you. I agonize in prayer. So Paul, when he started the church and when he ministered during his lifetime, one of the crucial things that he had was agonizing in prayer for the church, that they will be faithful, that they will realize this full potential, that they will grow to be healthy Christian in order to make a healthy church. And so he agonizes in prayer. But today's world, we have reversed it. Most of the churches have reversed it. Where is prayer meeting? Prayer meeting is the least attended part of the church. When we have fellowship, today fellowship is called fellowship. When we have fellowship, plenty of food. You have plenty of people. But when we come to prayer meeting, very few. Paul said he agonizes. He agonizes and he prays. So that's just like Jesus Christ. Very crucial to pray. Jesus got up early in the morning, the Bible tells us. He go to a quiet place and pray before he begins to do anything in the name of God, in the name of the Father. I'm struggling for you, Paul says. And this shows the depth of his love for God and for his people. He agonizes in prayer. He prays, he contend, full of energy, full of this like athletes preparing himself for the Olympics. Through months of preparation, sometimes years of preparation, in order for that moment to run the race to the best that he could, to break records. And Paul uses the same word, this word agonize, for his love for the church, the love for the fellow Christians in Colossia, whom it was not directly related to his planting, but through his disciple Epaphras. Friends, praying for the church. Do we pray for our church? Now we have many good-hearted people who come and talk so much about church. Pastor, you should do this. Pastor, you should do that. Pastor, you should do this and all that. Sometimes I wonder and I plead to them, have you ever prayed? Have you ever struggled like Paul, struggling to love the church? God, that the church will survive in the coming days where we will be facing tremendous challenges.